Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic, Volume 8, Episode 22. Today's puzzle is called a Smullyanic Dynasty, and there are a couple things I want to say about this. First off, I have referred to some puzzle sets as having a dynasty constraint. That name comes from this puzzle type. It is what one we see in lots of different kinds of puzzles, the shading puzzles in particular, where shaded cells can't be orthogonally adjacent, and you need to have a connected area of all of the unshaded cells. So that will be in play here, as well as some lying clues, which comes... The name of the puzzle type is a reference to Raymond Smulyan, who was a mathematician and creator of many logic puzzles, and was very well known for exploring the puzzle type that you will have seen before in popular culture, like the movie Labyrinth, for example, of truth tellers and liars, and he really explored all the possibilities of playing around with those rules and seeing what you can do with it. If you have been playing the game Blueprints, this is kind of like the parlor game, and we're going to see what that does to a pencil logic puzzle today as we take a look at the rules. In Smullyanic Dynasty, we shade some cells so that no two shaded cells are orthogonally adjacent, and the remaining unshaded cells form one orthogonally connected area. This is called the dynasty constraint, and orthogonally adjacent means sharing a side, not diagonally adjacent, and orthogonally connected area means, in this case, we can go from any one unshaded cell to all of the others in the grid by going horizontally and vertically through other unshaded cells. Unshaded clues indicate the number of shaded cells in the surrounding 3x3 area, those 9 cells. So for example, this 3 is telling us that in this 3x3 region there are 3 shaded cells. This 2 is talking about this area, so it's really these 6 cells, because 3 of them are off the grid, that there are 2 shaded cells in that region. However, shaded clues must not. So all of the clues that are shaded have to be lying. This cell would be saying that there is 1 shaded cell in this 3x3 region, but in fact there are 2. This says that there are 8 in this region, obviously lying, there are only 2. Those are the rules of Smullyanic Dynasty, so it's time to solve a puzzle. Today's Smullyanic Dynasty puzzle was set by Eric Fox. So I am first interested in looking for, well, our normal rule of thumb here is that small and large numbers are the most useful, and in particular, the really large numbers, the 9s, are appealing to me because immediately I know they have to be liars. If one of these were true, we'd have to unshade it, and then there aren't 9 cells available to shade in, regardless of the fact that even if we shaded the 8, that would still be illegal by the dynasty constraint. So we know that these 9 clues, I'm going to use a slightly less dark shading. All these 9 clues are all liars. And by the dynasty constraint, all their adjacent cells are unshaded, which is great because some of those have clues in them, and we know that they are true because they have clues. So this 1 calls out to me because it already has its 1 shaded cell, which means none of these are shaded. The 3 is as a result of that, is telling the truth. It sees 1 adjacent shaded cell, and it needs 2 more, and they can't be touching, so these have to be those 2. And their neighbors become unshaded. This 3 clue, just double checking, yep, that's fine. This 2 clue is telling the truth, and it sees both of them already, so these 2 are unshaded. This 3 clue needs 3 shaded cells, and we've got one of them and only spaces for the other 2 there. This 2 clue has to be lying, and it sees 2 shaded cells, so that means that at least one of these 2 must be shaded. That's interesting, but I don't think it's actionable quite yet. But this will be, though, because this 2 clue already is telling the truth, and it already has its 2 shaded cells, so none of these are shaded. So now this one, in order to make this one a liar, since it's shaded, we need to shade this one to make it not have 2 cells in that vicinity. That unshades this one. This 3 needs a 3rd shaded cell. It's going to come from right there. Let's go to this one. We've got 2 out of the 3 shaded cells, so this one's shaded. That makes that unshaded. This 0 must be a liar now because it's got a shaded cell in its vicinity. So that's a liar. That means it's shaded. That makes this unshaded, which means that there is 2 shaded cells in this vicinity. We know that from the dynasty constraint, this dead end needs to escape. That's interesting. So since this 2 is true and one of these is shaded, that means this 0 clue can't be true. Because if it was true, none of these would be shaded. So that's a liar. Though this dead end needs to escape. This 2 is true, so one of these is shaded. So just like we saw here, this must be a liar. The 1 is true, and that's the one that it gets. So those are all unshaded. This 3 clue can't be true because there's not enough room to put 3 shaded cells around it. So that's a liar. That makes this true, and we know that this one's the shaded one. So these are all unshaded. This is true, and one of these 2 is shaded. That's fine. This 3 is the same position that this was in. There's not enough room for 3 shaded cells, so that one is shaded. Means these 2 are unshaded. Means that's true, and there's one more shaded cell in one of these 2 spots. This 2 clue is true. We've got 1 out of 2. This one's got to be shaded. And therefore, this true clue, if... okay, so we can't shade both of these. We got to shade exactly one of the 2, which makes this 2 clue true. So if that were the shaded cell, that would be a contradiction. This has to be the shaded cell. That has to be unshaded. We're done with the bottom half. Let's see if we can bring this home. This dead end has to come up here. This 3, there's not enough room for 3 shaded cells around it, so this is a liar. And that's going to give us our bridge to the right side. The 2 clue is true. Exactly one of these is shaded. We can't have both of these. If both of these are true, then these 2 are unshaded. Okay, well, here, now this is where to start. This 3 has the same problem as this one. That can't be true. So now the 2 is true. One of these is shaded. Exactly 1. But I'm not seeing how to tell which one. This 2 clue, we need to shade one of these 2. We don't really have any connectivity problems to help us. If this is unshaded, then all of these are unshaded, and this 2 clue becomes a problem because it can't be telling the truth. That would shade both of these, they'd be adjacent. So that's a liar. That's good. So this clue is satisfied already. This clue needs one more shaded cell. And now we've got a connectivity thing where we have to come in through this gap. That's good, because this 2 now is, one of these 2 is shaded. This is another dead end. This has to come out this way. One of these 2 is shaded. And I'll be able to finish that off, but I'm going to rest my brain for a moment and think about what we've done over here to see if this is easy. If this is unshaded, we got the same problem as over here. That would unshade all of these, and this would definitely be a liar. That's a contradiction. So that's shaded. These become unshaded. This needs one more shaded cell in this region, which makes this definitely a liar. And so now that is done. Okay, so back up here. We probably have to just do some cases. If this is telling the truth, then there is exactly one shaded cell among these. That's probably actually the case. If this is a liar, these are both true, which means that's unshaded, which is a contradiction for the 2's. So this must be telling the truth. And there is exactly one shaded cell among all 3 of these, but this needs a shaded neighbor and this needs a shaded neighbor. So they're going to have to share the same shaded neighbor, which is going to have to be right here. And that is how you solve a Smullyanic dynasty.